In this NUAGE tutorial video, we're going to take a look at the dialogue tracks in the 50/50 movie. Now, in previous tutorials, we had imported the reference video and reference audio track into a new project, and then imported the AAF file from the video editing workstation into that project. And that's where we're going to start here. We're going to use some techniques with the fader unit and with the master unit to sort of start combing through the dialogue tracks and getting things organized for the mix. So part of that involves listening to all the different microphone channels that were recorded on the set and picking the best one for that character in that scene, in that shot, and taking that little line of audio, that little audio file, and putting it on a track for that character. So now we're going to have the dialogue audio organized by character, not by recording channel. So let's take a look. Here are all the tracks in the AAF file as they were imported originally. Now we're just going to go into the cafe scene here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And by and large, it's these three tracks up here, 3, 4, and 5, that have most of the dialogue recordings on them. So we're going to work with primarily those tracks. So I'm going to select them here and make those the only ones that we see in the project right now. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Also, I'm going to raise the waveform height so it's easier to see what's going on in each track. So as we zoom in further, now we've got a good picture of the dialogue tracks themselves. So let's see what this sounds like here.
Do you know how many people would kill to work for my father, especially so closely?
That's just it. I didn't earn anything.
Okay, so now basically you have each edit in the video correlates to 3 tracks of audio. They all went together. So it's up to us to really determine which track is going to be the best. So let's listen to that first line again.
Do you know how many people would kill to work for my father?
I'm going to solo up the A3 track.
Do you know how many people would kill to work for my father, especially so closely?
That sounds like it might be her lav mic.
Do you know how many people would kill to work for my father?
Now A5 to me sounds a lot better. I think that is the shotgun mic. So what I want to do now, I'm going to add some tracks so that we have character tracks to take each chunk of audio and place them onto a track just for that character. So now I have 2 tracks here, one for Erica and one for Jamie. Now, this A5 track was the shotgun. That's what we thought sounded best for the first line.
Do you know how many
there.
people would kill to work for my father?
So what I want to do now is I'm going to move that down to the Erica track.
Work for my father, especially so closely?
Now we're just going to continue to go through this scene and pick the best takes or the best microphones for each line, for each character, and move them to that character's track. This is sort of step 1 of getting everything organized.
That's just it. I didn't earn anything. That's just it. I didn't earn anything. That's just it. I didn't earn anything. I don't have the first clue about the international shipment of chemicals or whatever else. That's just it. I didn't earn anything. I don't have the first clue about the international...
I like Jamie's lines from track A4. So what I'm going to do is select all 3 of those lines and I'm going to move them down to his track like that. So now that's how we're going to proceed through the rest of the whole movie, basically sorting out each character line by line to figure out which track had the best sound.
Okay, then I'll just talk to Daddy and I'll have you transferred to another company.
Now that I've gone through a couple more lines in the scene, I have a little bit of a checkerboard of the best sounding recordings for each character for each line. And now we should be able to listen to just those 2 tracks and hear a good representation of the dialogue.
Do you know how many people would kill to work for my father, especially so closely?
That's just it. I didn't earn anything. I don't have the first clue about the international shipment of chemicals or whatever else your dad's into.
Okay, then I'll just talk to Daddy and I'll have you transferred to another company.
You just don't get it, Erica.
I do get it. I know that you love writing music and singing, and that's one of the things that I love the most about you. I am not asking you to change that. I just need you to put it on hold.
Now, obviously, there's still some more work to do, but we're taking it one step at a time, getting things organized so that we can deal with the sound differences, the level differences between each line. We're going to have to address all that stuff to make the dialogue sound good. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to colorize these two tracks so that I can see the difference and know what channel I'm on. So I'm going to make these yellow. Now I know the yellow track is the select track, and the gray tracks are what's left of the AAF file once I'm done pulling all the selects out. So the last thing is that all of the AAF elements that are left on the top three tracks, I'm going to keep those. I'm going to keep those in a folder just in case I need to go back to them later, sometime during the production where I'm looking for something extra, or maybe the microphone that I picked didn't really work out that well and I want to go back to a different one, something like that. It's always nice to keep that stuff in reserve in case you need it later. But basically, that's one of the techniques, is to go through and pick all the select lines for each character and put them on their own track. And also, while you're at it, you can find different sound effects that might be occurring in the production audio, like a glass might be set down or a door is open and closed or something like that. And if you want to keep those, you can create yet another track and call it production audio effects, and then move those sound effects down to that track. Then you have all those sound effects separated and isolated. Makes it easier to organize everything when you go to the mix. For example, here on the track A3, we have a good sound of her setting the paper cup down. So what I want to do is I'm going to select that sound, let's see here, the range tool, and then I'm going to move it down to a newly created production sound effects track. So now I have that sound isolated all by itself. Later on during the Foley stage, I might not have to make that sound because I've already got it from the production sound effects. That's just one example about keeping it organized that way. If we did a foreign language version of the film, all we would need to do is mute the dialogue tracks, but we wouldn't lose the sound of the cup being set down because we saved that on a different set of tracks. That goes with the sound effects with the Foley work. That way we can replace the dialogue with the foreign language and not lose all the sound effects at the same time. So we'll be back with more tutorials soon.